I'm Parbin Ashraf, a working mum, passionate about the North Indian cuisine I grew up around and still love to cook. The food of India is so diverse, like the landscape and the climate that have shaped it. The cooler north is known for dairy, roti, naan and aromatic masalas. Across the deserts of majestic Rajasthan are dishes inspired by royal palace cuisine. Whilst on the southerly coast, fish and coconut are popular. It's this amazing mix of cultures, faiths, cooking traditions and people that have given rise to wonderful dishes eaten all over the world.
Original butter chicken.
In this series, I'll be persuading you to spice up your cooking with my top 20 easy Indian recipes, perfect for family and friends.
Best way to eat this is immediately.
Across India, from busy cities to the sunny coast, we'll be meeting grandmas and mums to find out their treasured recipes. We'll also catch up with chefs and food experts celebrating all that is both traditional and fashionable. And in the UK, I'm going on my own tour to meet chefs and restaurant owners who are cooking up dishes inspired by recipes from their own Indian roots. Plus, I'll be sharing my top tips for stocking up your store cupboard, ready to cook up an Indian feast.
Welcome to my Indian kitchen.
Coming up in today's show, you might think cooking tandoori chicken at home without tandoor is a no-no, but think again, as I'll be in the kitchen cooking my take on this classic dish. I've also got loads to show you from the Indian capital Delhi to get a taste of what foodie experts and locals like to eat. We'll be at a night spot where the crowds head for fast food Indian style, and tandoori chicken is the big seller. We'll be at home with food historian Salma Hussain, bringing an old Mughal dessert recipe back to life. And we discover the origins of the globally famous dish, butter chicken. But first, I'm going to show you my inspiring take on the burger with this spicy lamb version.
I'm making spicy lamb burgers, and this is my take on the authentic traditional dish called chappal kebabs. Now, chappal actually means a sandal. It's a flat sandal. So, you know, kebabs are normally long, but these are flat, like a flat sandal, hence the word in Punjabi, chappal kebabs. Roughly chopped an onion and want some garlic. And the other fresh ingredient is fresh green chilies. And the only ingredient I'm going to have to give this spicy burger heat is 2 of these chilies. So just take off the top, roughly chop them, and I'm not de-seeding them because this will add just the amount of heat we need in our spicy lamb burger. That's it. Already I can smell the freshness of those chilies. I'm going to blitz them in a blender. I don't want it too fine because I don't want to paste, but I don't want them too chunky either. Give them a blitz. So I have my meat here. I've got 800 grams of lamb mince. Now, if you see the little flecks of white, that's a bit of fat, but we need the fat because that will help the burgers join together. If you want lean meat, you can, but I will recommend having a little bit of fat for flavour to help them join. In goes the green chilies and the garlic. All the onions go in. There is a little bit of water in there and it's created moisture, but that's all fine. That will cook out. Got everything in there, including the seeds, and you can smell those fresh chilies. Now I'm going to add some spices, and you're going to be surprised now. I'm going to add 4 teaspoons of coriander seed powder. And you might think that's a lot, but actually it's not, because red meat can take it. It's a heavier meat, and it does need all the flavour. And 2 of cumin. And then salt for seasoning. You do need the seasoning to bring out the taste of the chilli. All I need to do now is make the pâtés. In with my hands, I'm going to give it a good mix, okay? You can be quite robust with this. You really need to get the onions, the garlic and the chilli all mixing together. So give it a good squish with your hand and let's get all those flavours infusing. But the last thing I want to add is I want to add some fresh coriander. So just roughly chop the coriander in here. And that works really well with the fresh green chilies. Give it another mix and I'm happy. That comes together surprisingly quickly. They're done now. I'm just going to grab a plate because I'm ready to make my burgers. Okay, nice big chunk of the meat. And then I'm going to use my hands to shape the burgers. Just be patient and smooth out the edges. Press down. Flatten it with your hand. Don't worry if it's not perfectly round. You can use the plate to shape it. So if I pop it on that plate there, I can just ease it gently round like that. Give it a pat, and that is, oh, it's a quarter pounder, and then some. Lovely. Just need to wash my hands now. Just going to cover the rest in cling film and leave that in the fridge while I make my slaw. To go with my spicy lamb burgers, I'm going to make my twist on a coleslaw, and the twist is turmeric. I've also got another twist. I'm not going to add all mayonnaise. So most coleslaw is all mayonnaise. So I'm going to do half mayonnaise in the bowl and half yogurt. You'd be surprised, actually, you can't taste the difference. Tiny bit of salt, some pepper. Now, I use turmeric quite a lot in my dishes, in my dals, in my curries, and actually, turmeric milk is something I have when I'm not well. My mum used to give it to me, and we call it the golden milk. Nigella seeds as well, and give that a stir. Look at that, beautiful. In there, I'm going to add my vegetables. So in goes all the cabbage, and I've got some onions. And this is a classic coleslaw, just with a twist of the turmeric and the tamarind. 2 teaspoons. Okay, the last thing to do is carrots. Now, I used to grate the carrot, but I don't know, I think when you grate it, it becomes quite watery, and I don't want moisture, I just want the crunch of the carrot. Give that a stir, and that's it. I think once you've made this, you're not going to go back to normal coleslaw. I'm just going to have to taste this. Taste the tamarind and the turmeric, and we've got that real crunch to the vegetables, exactly what I want. Drop a teaspoon of oil. I'm going to heat that oil up, and what I'm looking for is not a smoking oil, but on the verge of smoking. The aim of the game here is I want to seal that meat in the pan instantly as it hits the pan. Best way to fry the spicy lamb burgers is from room temperature. If you go from the fridge into the pan, they kind of like shrivel. We don't want that. We want the meat to relax, so it's a nice moist burger. And let's seal that. The burger's almost halfway cooked, and you can tell that it changes colour. The meat changes colour around the outside. I'm ready to turn over now. Careful, it's sizzly. Perfect, look at that. That is sealed beautifully. I'm really happy with those. Another 2 minutes and they're done. Don't be tempted to press down with your spatula like that. All that does is releases the meat juices and sort of dries out your burger. I want a really moist burger. So just let it happily sit away. Give it a shake if you want. Leave them alone and let them cook. And I'm ready to serve. That's cooked and I'm really happy with that. So look at all those meat juices, absolutely delicious. I'm gonna serve mine in a brioche burger bun, and that's my youngest son's favourite, absolute favourite. When I want to treat him, this is what I make for him. Just a little bit of fresh vegetables, because we need a bit of salad. Slice some gem lettuce and serve that with the gem lettuce and some tomatoes. My son used to call himself a salad dodger, and this is the only way I can get salad inside him in a spicy lamb burger. Just top that with my tomato, my lettuce, and that's a burger and a half. That is a big mouth-sized burger. A taste of fresh chilies, the coriander, it's meaty and it's moist and it's satisfying. Perfect with my crunchy tamarind and turmeric coleslaw.
It's time to get out on the road and explore the Indian capital, Delhi. Later, we're at home with the food historian recreating a Mughal dish that's a family favourite. I'll share my top tips on getting the right pulses for your pantry.
There's a dal debacle, but let me unravel things for you.
And I'm making a classic at home, Tandori chicken. We're in Delhi, India's capital, which lies to the north. And I've lined up a mouth-watering fast food story from the heart of the city. Like many large Asian cities, Delhi has a rich history of food that's always fast and fresh, often served from street carts or stalls, offering the diner a brief place of refuge from the hustle and bustle of city life. It's a way to eat that suits the intensity of the place and keeps many fed from sunrise to sunset. At the Safrajung Enclave Market, it's a sunset that brings this corner of the city bursting into life. By mid-evening, for locals and visitors in the know, it's the place in Delhi for some of the best food on the go. I've lined up Executive Chef Alex Moser and his colleagues Vimal Verma and Prakash Chandra to let us in on this #1 food joint, according to their little black book.
Tonight we're at my most favorite hot spot in Delhi. It's Rajinder Da Dhaba. The most amazing food I recommend for everybody who comes to Delhi. Actually comes here and experience it. It's super local. And as you can see, everybody's here.
Dhaba refers to a roadside food stall. That was their starting point, stretching back more than 50 years. It's the fresh, tasty food like tandoori chicken, curry and rotis as thin as napkins that keeps the diners heading back.
The dining room is just behind us. As you can see, there's all these broken bikes standing, which are actually here to actually create the dining experience. So we're going to eat on those bikes and we're going to see how it's going to end up. As you can see, the food is amazing and we're going to go and order something and see what we're going to get.
With the insistent nudging of hungry customers at the order point, this is not the place for those who treasure personal space.
We got the chicken tikka, we get the galoti, we got some assortment of bread, and I think it's going to be very quick because if you can see, the kitchen is really pumping, everybody is waiting, the food comes out quick, people have no time to wait, they're all hungry.
It's all about streaming, making sure whatever you pay for, get it there for, you know, that's what it's all going to be about.
Yeah, you have to be noisy, otherwise they forget you.
But it's a slick operation, right down to the salad and pickles, all packed in a little bag, like your local takeaway.
It's going to be amazing.
Very good, in the center. The good part of good food is that you always find space for it.
We have the chicken tikka. The chicken tikka really just came out of the tandoor, super hot. We have the amazing chicken curry, which is a bit spicy, but we're all looking forward. We have the galoti kebab, which is basically the minced slab with small selection of bread and some roti. And we have the cucumbers, onion, and some chutney. I think can't get better than that. It's a local version of fast food, right? I mean, you look at it, the only difference is that it's actually cooked fresh, with fresh ingredients, fresh spices. So it's not another big brand of a fast food chain, but yet it's very big in itself, and I think it's the perfect variant for local fast food. Go for it!
Whoa, my personal favorite. You will see now, simply melts.
The lemon is amazing. It's so soft, it melts actually in your mouth because you don't feel any texture. So it's really mashed basically, and traditionally it's actually pounded until the meat really becomes so tender.
Historically, it was made for the king who never had teeth.
Like I said, it's all about eating with the hands, right? I mean, they still put the cutlery, but we're not going to use it. We might just actually use it to skip out the soup afterwards, but we're going to use the bread. Crazy. Flavors are amazing.
Yeah, I like the food. This place is totally crazy for me because it's the first time. I'm not from Delhi. So this food, yeah, everybody talks about the Delhi street food, fast food, totally great. Lots of Indian spices, lots of Indian food, great.
And I think for a foodie, Delhi is a delight. No second question about it.
I want to have the real deal, I actually come here. I mean, there's not many places who actually have the same consistency all the time. Look how many people are coming here, so that's the reason why we actually come here.
I love this place. So, yeah, we just try different things, but my favorite is chicken malai tikka with rumali roti.
This is a unique experience, right? Even just standing over here on one of their scooters, but yeah, it's just really good.
One thing brings everybody together, which is food. I think you can't get a more authentic experience than that. Eating on a scooter, amazing food, amazing people, great weather, great city. That's Delhi. Go for it.
Yeah. Wow.
Quick and easy Indian home cooking is my goal. Whether I'm cooking for my family or throwing a dinner party, best way to start is to find and discover the delights of Indian specialist shops. To help me get great dishes to the table, I have a well-stocked pantry ready for action. Let's talk lentils, or as I would say, dal. There's a huge range of lentils in an Indian supermarket, but where do you begin? There's a dal debacle, but let me unravel things for you. First on my list and in my pantry is red split lentil, sometimes called masoor dal. And I don't know why they call it red. Clearly it's orange. When it's cooked, it turns a beautiful golden colour. This is the one that I cook about 2 or 3 times a week. It's like a sponge and soaks up any flavour you give it. Red split lentil is usually the dal you would have had in a takeaway or restaurant called a tarka dal, and it's the first recipes I learnt to cook. These are smaller packets, but I tend to buy them in big 5-kilogram packets, and I never like to run out. This is my favourite dal, delicious moong dal. And there's all types of moong dal. You can get a green moong dal, which is whole. You can get split moong dal, which is green and white. Or you get this lovely little nutty yellow moong dal, which is my favourite. I love it. It tastes quite creamy when it's cooked, and I serve it with hot chapatis, and that's a must-have. Now to my prince of pulses. This is urad dal. This is used for special occasions. It needs lots of planning in advance. You have to soak it for about 12 hours. It takes quite a long time to cook. Serve it with lashings of butter and ghee, usually served in a dal makhani. Although quite a decadent dal, it's quite versatile. You can have it with naan bread, parathas, for brunch, have it with rice. This is a must-have in my pantry. There's so many dals to choose from, and I've talked about 3 in particular. I always have those in my pantry. When you get more experience, you can mix them and choose your own favourites. But in my view, every pantry needs a pulse.
Dal can be made from either lentils or beans. They come from the same family of pulses and are cooked in a similar fashion. I love looking at old recipes and trying dishes with flavours from bygone eras. India's colourful and rich history has produced an amazing wealth of delicious recipes and incredible food stories. Salma Hussain, who lives in Delhi, is a specialist in Indian cuisine from the past. Widely published, her work has covered many areas, much of it with an interest in preserving recipe heritage.
My first book was the Sharbats. The third book, which got me the crown, is called Emperor's Table. This is a story of the 6 Mughal emperors who ruled India for a long time. And the book has their achievements and also 6 recipes each.
In the Emperor's Table, the art of Mughal cuisine is a recipe for Indian pistachio bread pudding, lozina.
It's a celebration dish, of course. It's a royal. Its name is a Shahi Tukra. Shahi means royal. And this is from the time of the Shah Jahan. See, because the bread has come. It's called lozina because in those days they had the shape of the laws, like the almond. Now the shapes have changed also with the time. And now in India it is called Shahi Tukra, means the royal piece.
The humble beginning of this opulent dessert is sliced white bread. Salma starts by removing the crust.
Once we have taken out the crust from here, which will go to the buds, so we have to fry it in the oil. I am using soya oil. I will prefer to cut it into triangle shape because it looks pretty. Shahi Tukra came to India with the Mughals. But they say that originally it is an Egyptian dessert. Now we have finished frying, all right, and it's done. Now we go to the second part of the recipe, and we are making sugar syrup of 1 string. You take 1 cup of sugar, and in that you put ½ cup of water. And unless the whole sugar is dissolved in the water, and it gives you a nice thick syrup of 1 string. And we have to give it a little color, little bit of cardamom powder, just the flavor. This goes because the flavors are very, very important. Otherwise, it will be just a piece of bread which we have French toast. See, in India, what happens? The recipes come from outside, and the Indian cooks are very clever, and they make it their own. It has to be soaked very nicely, so it absorbs one by one. If somebody comes to the house and you have no dessert in the house, you quickly make shahi tukra because it requires not many of the ingredients. And then there is another thing which we have to do is to boil milk and reduce it to half. When it comes to boil a little bit, you have to put the 1/4 teaspoon of cardamom powder, and then you have to put again so it gets the color. The bread gets soaked. This is something like bread pudding, which you have, and everybody loves it. It is easy to make. Bread is absorbing. It is flavorful, and it's royal. This has to be very gently, we have to do it, otherwise they will break. Most of the sweets which are made use khoya. This is the reduced milk. And now we have pistachios, which have been soaked, blanched, cut into slivers. And this is almond. Again, we have soaked it, blanched it, peeled it, and cut into slivers. So this now becomes royal.
Cooking Lozina is celebration worthy.
This is the feast, especially for the guests and my friends. Please help yourself and enjoy.
So Salma has asked some friends to share the dessert along with some authentic foods.
Hi Anil, now the final taste.
It is not too soggy and perfect.
Oh, it's fit for celebrations.
I'm Paveen Ashraf, and I love cooking great, easy Indian food that anyone can try at home.
Married made in heaven.
Coming up in bustling Delhi, we're in the kitchens of the globally famous butter chicken dish to see just how it's cooked. And I'm in London to discover more about regional Indian food with award-winning chef Vivek Singh at his top city restaurant. First, I'm back in the kitchen, and it's time for me to reveal a super delicious way to make tandoori chicken.
This is my version of tandoori chicken. It's called quick tandoori chicken. The clue's in the title because it is really quick. It's the kind of recipe I cook when I don't really want to cook, when I want something spicy. So literally make a marinade, pop the chicken in there and put it in the oven. Tandoori chicken is normally cooked in a tandoor oven. I don't have one. Oh, it smells lovely. Or a tandoor oven, as I like to say. So in my bowl, I've got 200 ml of yogurt. I'm using full-fat Greek yogurt, but you can use any yogurt you like. It doesn't really matter, the recipe will still work. So I'm grating my garlic in there, and now I'm going to flavour my yogurt with spices. So the first spices I'm going to use is a tandoori powder. So I'll let you into a little secret. I buy mine. Shop bought, it's brilliant. It tastes amazing. Now this has so many different elements to it, different spices. The overarching flavour is paprika, and that also has mango powder, fenugreek. That's going to be our main spice to give it that lovely colour. And then chilli flakes. Chilli flakes for heat and also makes it look pretty. And some salt for seasoning. I'm using 2 teaspoons of Himalayan sea salt. And then lastly, some lemon juice to tenderise. Lemon juice has a really important part to play in the tandoori chicken. And what that does is the acidity of the lemon starts the cooking process immediately. So I'm going to squeeze half a lemon in there. And that's my marinade. I'm just going to give it a mix now. So I said it was quick and easy. First thing you'll notice, actually, it's not that bright red colour that one associates with a tandoori chicken when you've got it from your local takeaway or your restaurant. Don't be fooled. It's got bags of flavour. That's my marinade done. Now all I have to do is add the chicken pieces into the marinade. I'm using chicken thighs for this recipe, and they're boneless. But you can use anything you like. I do find thighs are moister. If you want to use chicken fillet of breast, you can, but thighs work best for this recipe. Give it a good stir and coat all the pieces in that lovely garlicky marinade. How long are you supposed to marinate chicken? Is it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, overnight? Actually, all of the above. But for me, it's an immediate recipe. I'm going to pop it in the oven straight away. Get my baking tray. And what I'd like to do is just drizzle some oil. I don't want the chicken sticking to the baking tray, so I'm just going to coat it in a film of oil and then add my chicken. In it goes, a whole lot at once. Remember, the flatter the chicken, the more even it's going to cook. We don't want sort of big clumps of chicken. I preheated the oven to about 240 degrees. It's really hot now, and I'm going to cook for about 20 minutes to roast off. To go with my tandoori chicken, which is lovely and light and garlicky in flavour, I want to make a really sharp, zesty onion relish. So 2 red onions. If you don't have red, you can use white, but I prefer red onions. They have a milder flavour. And I'm chopping them sort of like half moons, like this. And that's because it just looks pretty and I like it. And then I'm going to add mint and some red wine vinegar. If you don't have red wine vinegar, you can just use ordinary vinegar. But I would insist on fresh mint for this one. You would think onions is an unusual relish to have, but in Indian cuisine, it's really popular. If I've got no salad in the house, I will just do an onion relish. It works with many dishes. Got my onions in a bowl. Adding my red wine vinegar, about 3 tablespoons, because the onions can be quite sharp. But when you add the vinegar, the acidity cuts right through, and you get like a softer tasting onion, which works really well with the chicken. In that, we need some sugar, because it's like a slash relish chutney, and then salt to season. You do need the salt to bring out the taste of the mint and the onions. The last ingredient is fresh mint. I love fresh mint, and the freshness of the mint works really well in this recipe. If you can get it, I do urge you to get it. I'm going to use the leaves. If you don't have fresh, you can at a push use the jar stuff. And actually, you'd be surprised how well it works because of the vinegar in the jar already. It smells amazing. Just roughly chop. I'm not going to get too chefy about that. In it goes. And then I'm going to get in with my hands and give it a good squish. And because we've added salt, what that's going to do is release the water from the onions. You can smell the vinegar and you can smell the mint. My onions are ready now. All I have to do is warm up the naan to serve with my tandoori chicken. So I have here a really old pan, and this is my chapati pan, and I love it, and it's older than my children. It was a gift from my mum. And you can see it's a hard-working chapati pan, but if you don't have one, just use an ordinary frying pan. It will work, I promise. Nice hot pan, just give it a few seconds to heat up. And then I've just bought some shop-bought naan because I've made the chicken, I've made the minty onions, so I'm going to cheat a little, and I'll teach you how to cheat too. No oil necessary, no butter necessary, just dry frying. And we need about a minute for them, and believe me, they're going to fluff up and taste amazing. Turn it over. I am using my hands. Just grab it and turn it over. If you don't want to use your hands, be very careful. Just use a pair of tongs. Now, I want to be a little bit decadent, so I'm going to add a bit of butter. I keep a block specially just for this. Bit of butter. I'm going to get a lovely sizzle. And that just gives them a little bit of moisture that we need. Turn the heat off, and my naans are all fluffed up. Time to take out my chicken. Wow, look at that. That's crisped up beautifully, exactly what I wanted. We've got tender pieces of chicken thigh. It just falls apart, and that's just after minimal cooking. I have to taste it. So, let's have a go. So tender, so juicy. You've got the chilli, you've got the slight lemon with the crunch of the onion. Married made in heaven. Red lettuce on my naan. On goes my chicken. Grab some minty onions, and I'm going to drizzle with yogurt. And that's quick tandoori chicken, perfect lunch or a midweek supper.
I'm often curious about the story behind a popular recipe. So back in Delhi, it's time to lift the lid on a dish that's drawn the crowds for years. If one dish says Indian food to the world, then surely it's got to be tandoori chicken. However, one place has brought together the best of tandoori chicken and butter. This is the famous restaurant Moti Mahal, and the legendary dish they serve is butter chicken. Daughter of the owner and restaurant manager, Bluti Chadha, explains.
It is proudly said whenever you are in India and you're not having butter chicken at Moti Mahal is equivalent if you're not going to Agra. Or for that matter, if you go to France and don't see Eiffel Tower.
Chef, 3 tandoori chicken you have to make, 9 garlic naan and 1 family naan.
He is quite a tough man, and he's a man of perfection. When it comes to perfection, he needs everything on the dot.
Revealing the mystery of their butter chicken is the man himself, and as he explains, it all starts with a lot of chicken.
3 cuts here, 3 cuts here, 3 cuts there, and 3 cuts in tibia.
He will measure each and every spoon that is to go. So even the chef inside will have an idea, like what he has to put next time cannot go wrong. So even a pinch could be not more or less than that.
This is yellow chili. This is ginger garlic paste. This is salt. This is red chili. Marinate with vinegar and lemon. And oil also. This is the yogurt mixture. Yogurt mixture with salt, pepper, red chili, lemon and curd. This we have to marinate properly to penetrate the heat inside. Like this, marinate for 24 hours.
It's a regimented process with 2 precise stages.
First we have to make tandoori chicken, then we will go for butter chicken.
Then the 24-hour marinated chicken is prepared for the tandoor.
Now we will take this marinated chicken in clay oven and we will cut that chicken into 8 pieces. This is here only tomatoes, ginger garlic, green chilies and simmer it for 36 hours to make the puree. 36 hours to simmer. On slow fire for simmer. First we made the tandoori chicken, then we add into tomato puree. This is the salt, tomato puree, salt, chili, green chili. He is going to put this tandoori chicken in puree, ups and down. Now we are going to add butter in it. He will show it to you. Butter will give the taste to the tomato puree. That's why it becomes the butter chicken. Now we are going to add cream in it to give the color and the taste.
No, we do put cream in, so it adds to your calories.
Over the years, dignitaries have called in to eat here, firmly establishing Moti Mahal on the Indian food map.
This is original butter chicken from Moti Mahal, Daryaganj.
If you've grown up with it every day, does it seem special?
I drive around 17 kilometers all the way from my home to Moti Mahal, thinking that I will not have butter chicken and I will try something else on the menu today. But as soon as I enter in Moti Mahal and seeing every table having the same dish called butter chicken, I end up having it. So I have no option.
Indian food is still one of the nation's favourites when planning a night out. It's a cuisine with a vast culinary heritage, and each Indian region has contributed distinct recipes and flavours to the dishes we've come to love. My recipes are inspired from the North Punjab region, and as part of my journey, I'm interested to discover how the food of other regions differs and is finding its way onto restaurant tables.
Here in the City of London, there's an award-winning chef who's been championing a modern twist on regional Indian cuisine for the last 20 years. He not only takes inspiration from the region where he grew up, but is also influenced by food traditions from the length and breadth of India.
In 2001, Chef Vivek Singh opened the Cinnamon Club restaurant in London and created a big noise around modern Indian fine dining. With a clear public appetite for stylish Indian cuisine, he opened Cinnamon Kitchen in 2008. Before arriving in London, Vivek spent some time running a kitchen in Jaipur, which sits in Rajasthan. It's a region to the northwest of India, and I'm interested to find out more about the cooking. So he's going to show me some typically Rajasthani cuisine.
What you've got here is the food of Rajasthan. It's earthy, it's rustic, and there's not a lot that grows there. It's quite arid, and people live within their means and try to use what they've got access to. What you will find is that it's not short of color, or texture for that matter, and there's an abundance of joy and spirit about it. And there's a great deal of generosity. I mean, that's how I feel this food,
I recognize some of the names in a Punjabi cuisine, sarson da saag and makki di roti. So it's not actually spinach, it's mustard leaves,
It's mustard leaves, yes, correct. But the thing is, if you were out on an expedition or you were a nomadic family, a tribe that was living, as a nomad, it's plentiful. I mean, this is the kind of thing, you just hack the greens, cook it off rather quickly, swiftly, it's not a problem. Those pakoras, you would make them with whatever you had. If you had onions going, you had onions, there's sangri beans, there's anything else. You would carry chickpea flour with you. You'd carry a few spices, and you'd carry this homemade hot garlic chutney that doesn't spoil. It's the perfect travel food.
So you're just feeding from the land, your mustard
You
seeds,
live
your
off the
ground
land, exactly, yeah.
I'm intrigued, Chef, with this dish here. It's similar to something that I grew up eating, like a mutton curry or a lamb curry.
It's quite a different mutton curry to most that you would be familiar with in India. I mean, for one, this is a curry that doesn't use any red chilies whatsoever. There's absolutely no tomato. Would you like to learn how to make this?
I'd love to, Chef.
Traditional curry would be made with goat. We're using lamb here.
Yeah.
It doesn't use any red chili whatsoever. Cloves, black cardamom, bay leaves. And we'll start off with ghee. You can either use ghee, mustard oil, whatever you want. You know. This is in Rajasthan, it would be called a makai ka soveta. Makai meaning corn and soveta meaning a stew.
And straight in with the onions.
It does draw a lot of inspiration from the nomadic tribe. They don't keep cows because it's difficult to move around with cows. They have goat, and they use goat for milk and then later goat for meat, whatever. But equally, they are also the warrior class people, so the Rajputs, who were often engaged in some sort of warfare or the other, or hunting expeditions. So we have a tradition of cooking with game in Rajasthan. And we're not averse to meat. We like our meat. So the thing about cooking onions quickly, you add a pinch of salt into them, and it's just early stages. We're about there now. We're looking for a light golden. We're not looking for a brown caramelized. Here's the chilies in. And these are whole. We're just going to chuck them whole into the. Okay, good. We got some diced leg. But it's just as good with shoulder. So diced shoulder is amazing for braising and cooking this sort of thing. So what you want is you want the meat to brown along with the onions. Let this process happen on a really high heat. So here in this case it's lamb. But in India, whether it says lamb or mutton, it almost always just means goat.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Turmeric. And this is ground coriander. And you see how little there is of ground spices.
I'm surprised that is quite a small amount, considering we have about 2 kilos of meat here.
I'm going to add some of this sort of corn kernels that I've kind of blitzed, and some of it, as you'll see, is whole. Some of it is whole and some of it is blitzed. They add both body and sweetness as well as complexity to this dish. Into all the spices and everything, so add some ginger and garlic paste. I'm going to add the yogurt at this point. I'm going to take care not to add too much of it and not to let it split. So I'm constantly mixing a little bit of the yogurt, mixing it through, preventing it from splitting. And then I add a little bit more. So it's a bit like making mayonnaise, The flavors have come together. Now all you need to do is add a bit of stock or water, whatever you're adding, and let the meat simmer away. Cover it with a lid. Leave it to simmer for about 45 minutes or half an hour, however long it takes for the lamb to really be tender. And actually with dishes like this, the slower the better, the longer the better.
Yeah.
So we'll finish this with some finely chopped coriander,
Yeah.
with a squeeze of lemon.
So that's really tender now, Chef, isn't it?
Yeah. There you go.
Smelling this reminds me of going to a wedding. Smell the black cardamom.
Right. And
through.
okay,
It
the
just smells
Kashmiri
amazing.
black cardamom.
Exactly. Well, Vivek, it's been a real journey for me to learn about Rajasthani dishes. Thank you so much for having me in your kitchen.
It's a pleasure.
I grew up around great Indian food. There's always seems to be something new to learn, whether it's holding onto traditional methods or bursting forward into the next era with high-end delights. Indian cuisine is ready to be explored beyond rice and curry. That's why I'm passionate about the great, easy dishes of mine, and I hope you try them. At the end of the day, there's nothing like spicing up life with some mouth-watering home-cooked Indian food for family and friends. Next week in the kitchen, hot off the pan, my homemade parathas.
You can see the steam coming out from the filling, from the paratha, from the butter.
And we've got more food stories from Delhi. There's a mum who's making a business out of home-cooked momos that come in all shapes and sizes.
This is the rose momo for the Valentine's Day, and this will be red.
We're up a famous alley in search of parathas with exciting hot local flavours.
Whoa. Oh man, I can keep eating. I should stop now.
And we finish it all off with some naughty but nice Indian iced desserts. Lovely.
Rain freeze.